Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia, and today we're continuing the 4th Kingdom of Yan Let's Talk Lore series with episode 3, titled Dealing with Wei. Now, in our previous episode, we discussed how Gongsun Kang took over for his father Gongsun Du in the year 204, and was immediately faced with the power shift in the north as Cao Cao took the city of Ye from Yuan Shao's heir, Yuan Shang. At first, Gongsun Kang was tempted to challenge Cao Cao, as plans for attack on Ye was made, but after consulting with his advisor Liang Mao, who had previously served under Cao Cao, these plans were ultimately abandoned. But just because Gongsun Kang did not attack does not mean Cao Cao would not do the same, as now with Yuan Shang fleeing north to join Yuan Xi, Yuan Tan was no longer needed. So by 205, Yuan Tan would be eliminated. Now this had an indirect effect on Gongsun Kang, as his father, Gongsun Du, had previously invaded the northern shores of the Qing province and claimed parts of the Donglai commandery for himself. And during that time, Yuan Tan was in charge of the Qing province, but because Cao Cao was such a threat, Gongsun Du's incursions were largely ignored. However, now with Cao Cao in full control, Zhang Liao would be sent to the Qing province, and without any difficulty, Gongsun Kang's general Liu Yi was defeated and dislodged from the Qing province, as this coastal outpost, or the Ying province, was removed from the map. So, having tasted Cao Cao's wrath, it would be rather easy for Gongsun Kang to pick sides when Yuan Xi, Yuan Shang, and the chief of the Wuhuan tribe would flee towards his territory, seeking refuge, as Cao Cao's northern campaign in the year 207 had effectively wiped out not only the Yuan clan, but also pacified much of the Wuhuan tribes. So seeing that Yuan Xi and Yuan Shang only had 1,000 or so cavalry left, Gongsun Kang made up his mind to kill them and offer their heads as a gift to Cao Cao in order to put himself in the good grace of the Han court. Now to be fair, Yuan Shang wanted to assassinate Gongsun Kang and take over Liaodong as a base to rebuild, so don't feel too bad for the Yuan clan when Gongsun Kang would betray them at their first scheduled meeting by ambushing them outside the stables with armed troops, and with the Yuan brother and the Wuhuan chieftain Su Puyan all tied up and thrown onto the floor. Gongsun Kang had one last word with Yuan Shang, as the spoiled Yuan Shang asked Gongsun Kang for floor mats as the icy cold ground bothered him, to which Gongsun Kang replied, "Your heads will be soon traveling far, far away, so why waste perfectly good floor mats on your bodies," as he ordered for their executions. And of course, once Cao Cao received these heads, Gongsun Kang would be handsomely rewarded, as he would now be officially made the Marquis of Xiangping and the General of the Left. And from this point on, Gongsun Kang became Cao Cao's vassal in the north, as the Han territory around him became off limits to his ambition. So in 209, Gongsun Kang turned his eye towards the Gaogou Li in the east, as their late king, Bo Gu, had left behind quite an inheritance mess, as the eldest son, Ba Qi, was deemed unfit for the throne. So the younger son, Yi Mo, was selected, and naturally this upset Ba Qi and those loyal to him. So seeking to win back the throne, Ba Qi would end up pledging himself and 30,000 of his people to Gongsun Kang, and in 209, Gongsun Kang would end up invading the kingdom of Gaogou Li, and it would result in the burning down of their capital. And riding off the back of this victory, Gongsun Kang would extend his influence farther down into modern-day Korea, as a new commandery south of Lelang would be created with the name of Daifang, where Gongsun Kang would project his influence into multiple smaller kingdoms that resided in the region, as he would practice Tuntian in the region with refugees while supplying arms and men to ferment rebellion between neighboring kingdoms. And Cao Cao basically granted him free reign in all territories beyond the Liaodong commandery. And this meant by this point, Gongsun Kang gained control of what is Liaodong, Xuantu, Lelang, and now Daifang Commandery, as well as vassalage from multiple smaller kingdoms in the area. However, not long after, Gongsun Kang would pass away to natural causes as his younger brother, Gongsun Gong, would be selected to take over, as Gongsun Kang's two sons in Gongsun Huang and Gongsun Yuan were still too young. Now, under Gongsun Gong's reign, Liaodong would remain rather passive, a good vassal to Wei, as Gongsun Gong had suffered an infection in his private parts that would eventually require castration to save him from death. But now a eunuch and still weak from lingering symptoms of his infection, Gongsun Gong became a rather incapable ruler, as Liaodong would become weak and stagnant under his rule until the year 228, when his nephew Gongsun Yuan would usurp power, imprison him, and force him to abdicate all his titles. Now you might be wondering why it was Gongsun Yuan, the younger son of Gongsun Kang, who would rebel and not his older brother Gongsun Huang. Well, that is because under Gongsun Gong's reign, as customary with vassals, the heir, in this case Gongsun Huang, since the eunuch Gongsun Gong could not have his own kids, was required by the Wei court to move to the Wei capital in Luoyang. So Gongsun Huang had been residing in Luoyang since Cao Pi usurped the Han. Now with Gongsun Yuan's usurpation in Liaodong, the Wei court will become divided on the topic, as after all, Gongsun Gong was official vassal, holding the titles of Marquis of Pingguo and the General of the Chariot. So first, there was Gongsun Huang, who immediately warned the court that his younger brother would now likely rebel against Wei as well, and that military action should be taken immediately against him. Now you might find it shocking that brothers would turn on each other so quickly, but if you analyze the situation from Gongsun Huang's perspective, if say Gongsun Yuan does rebel, then as the hostage heir of a vassal, he and his family would be executed to make an example for all other vassal states. And even if his brother did not intend to rebel, his own life and status would not improve, as he would still be required to live out his days as a hostage at the court. Therefore, if he makes a strong enough claim that Gongsun Yuan would rebel and that the Wei court actually helped bring him down, then it might be possible that he would end up being released to retake control of Liaodong as a new loyal vassal who told on his own brother. So either way, it was in Gongsun Huang's interest to frame Gongsun Yuan as a potential traitor and rebel. But unfortunately, the Wei court knew this as well, as his advice was largely ignored. Now there were a few notable advisors in court who did see Gongsun Yuan's usurpation as an opportunity to rid Liaodong of the Gongsun clan once and for all, as they could now easily try to pit those loyal to the uncle Gongsun Gong against the nephew, and with some military assistance, Liaodong can once again come under direct control of the central government, as prolonged vassal-client relationship, especially on the frontiers, eventually tend to brew rebellions in the long run. And this school of thought was mainly headed by advisor Liu Ye, who we will hopefully get a chance to cover one day in a separate series about the advisors of Cao Cao. Now, Liu Ye's advice here was also not taken by the young Emperor Cao Rui, who was now emperor after his father's death 2 years prior, as the main focus of the Wei court was now shifted west towards Zhuge Liang and his northern expeditions. So minor issues like the Gongsun clan had to wait. Now instead of seeking to punish Gongsun Kang for his usurpation, Cao Rui decided to pacify him with the generic general title called Yang Lie Jiangjun, which means the general who spreads righteousness, and the administrator position for Liaodong. Notably, Cao Rui did not remove Gongsun Gong's titles, which is probably the main reason that Gongsun Yuan kept his uncle alive, and none of the title granted to Gongsun Yuan or nobility ranks, as he didn't get any marquise titles, which is why starting in 228, Gongsun Yuan will start his flirtation with another kingdom to earn himself a rank, as he started to exchange letters with Sun Quan and the kingdom of Wu in the south. And with that, our episode will come to an end, as we'll continue next time to see how Gongsun Yuan will play Sun Quan to once again return to the good graces of the kingdom of Wei. So hopefully you all have enjoyed this episode enough to hit that like button to help support the channel, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!